everyone. Since we're still talking about water, today we're going to read a book called White Water by Jonathan and Erin London. I bet it's going to be about whitewater rafting. Have you ever been whitewater rafting? Let's read and find out. 2 hours by air, then 4 on the road, and we were at the Put Inn on Green River in Desolation Canyon, Utah, the tumbleweed desert where we made camp for the night. Dad told me again how much fun whitewater rafting was, and by the end he said, you'll learn how to read the river. Which way looks safer, which way is more dangerous. I was quiet thinking about how scary it would be. Here the river was flat, but did it become around those huge rock walls? Coyotes on the canyon's rim woke us up early, or was it Wild Man Dennis yelling, come on, get it? We crawled out of our tents into a great feast of pancakes, hash browns, and bacon. Dennis would be the cook for the 10 people on the next 7 days. So they had a 7-day hike. It was a long hike. As the sun climbed in the mountains filled with warmth, we all chipped in, breaking camp, pumping air into rafts, loading them up, and strapping things down. Otherwise, things would fly out when we hit the rapids. Dad said, what about us? I wondered as we pushed off. But not all river rafting is rapids. We rode. Dad took turns with Dennis and Roger, and we floated, and it got hotter, and pointed at eagles soaring overhead, and floated some more. Then we heard it. Listen, Dad said. Sorry, turn it up. There we go. Listen, said Dad. What's that? I asked. White water, he shouted. White water? We're moving faster. Roger was rowing. The river seemed to suck us along. Roger swung the raft around to face the rapids. Hang on tight, said Dad. Oh my goodness, look at all that white water rapids. All of a sudden, the water was white, as thousands of white rapids were jumping around us. I clenched my teeth, and fists were wiped and spun around on waves. Yee-haw, I yelled, and almost fell over backwards. The rapid was my first one, and it sure was fun. Sorry, this one's blurry. We were starting to look for a place to camp when another cry went up. Horses! Look at all those horses! There on the steep bank stood 4 wild horses and 2 colts. You could see their muscles bulging as they grazed. Suddenly, the leader took off running, and the rest of us followed, hooves pounding, rocks sliding, the little colts racing behind us. That evening, after a quick jump in the freezing snow-melt river, I could see the pounding of the hooves and the pounding of my heart as we'd gone down those rapids. And for the first time, I really noticed the beauty of the high canyon walls, reddish gold in the setting sun. Let's turn the book this way, see if that's a little better. Over the next 5 river days, we crashed through rapids, set her on fire, ate great food, and slept under a billion stars. On our second to last day in the Sioux stretch of river, I stared at the oars opposite of Dad, pushing when he pulled, and we were singing, row, row, row your boat, crashing down the stream. When we heard the roar, it was the loudest yet, and it was getting closer. White water! I hollered. The first thing we hit was a huge hole like a waterfall, followed by a wave as big as a small house. And we went flying. Dad's hat flew off. We fell laughing and conked heads in the bottom of the raft, but Roger Dodger grabbed the oars and we made it through. But it wasn't over yet. We smashed through 4 more rapids before we came to Rattlesnake Rapid. I tried to read the river. At least 2 dozen boulders jutted out of the water in the haystack waves and deep holes. Some are called keeper holes. You get sucked in and never come out. I pointed at the smooth V in the current and shouted, that's the tongue. So they're learning how to read the river. That looks kind of dangerous to me. Then it seemed the river swallowed us. Roger yelled, bail, bail. We bailed harder. Our raft whipped and stammered against a rock and got stuck on the edge of a hole. High side. Listen, the next raft threw us for a loop, but the current was so fast she missed. The last raft rolled by and they missed it too. The river was tumbling in. The hole was pulling us and pulling us. Do you think they're going to get out of the hole? That is a lot of water. Roger gripped the oars, and Dad and I helped. And together we pulled so hard on the oars we thought they would break. Instead, our raft was split out of the whirling hole, and we were free. That night, our last on the river, Wild Man Dennis roasted a 10-pound slab of New York steak and a dozen potatoes. We sat around the fire, and Roger Dodger lifted a cup, made a toast. To the river, to the river. The river rats all cleaned cups, and Dad said, "The river stole my hat and my heart." And I said, "Let's eat." And that was the best meal I ever had and probably ever will. I also learned how to read the river, and I liked what I read. I've never been whitewater rafting, but it sounds kind of exciting.